Today I'm going to be checking out the Cammus C5 direct drive racing wheel for PC, which is currently the cheapest direct drive on the market, coming in at only $250. As someone who mainly plays arcade racing games with a controller, I was pretty excited to try this out. I do also own a Logitech G920 racing wheel, and having used it a few times in the past, it was nice to compare them, as I class both the C5 and the G920 as beginner racing wheels. Quick disclaimer, although Cammus sent me this bundle for free, my opinions on the wheel are honest when it comes down to everything in this video. And if you're not already, make sure you subscribe. Continuing on from the price point of the Cammus C5, you can pick up the wheel by itself for just $249, which is roughly £196. If you're not bothered by height adjustment or using this mounted to your desk, you can bolt this straight onto a stand or cockpit. The other option is the C5 wheel and desk clamp for $279, which is about £228. If you already own a set of pedals from a different wheel, you could go for either of these options, making it slightly cheaper. And with your desk clamp, it gives you the option to use the wheel mounted to your desk or stand. And at $329, which is about £259, it's the bundle which includes the C5 racing wheel, desk clamp and pedals. This is likely the one you'd go for if it's either your first direct drive racing wheel or racing wheel in general, as it comes with everything you'd need to get started, still at a very reasonable price. The only thing to note is depending on where you're purchasing it from, you'll need to go through the overseas warehouse, as if you go through their warehouse in China, the postage will likely cost more, and you may also be charged an import fee. I do have a discount code available, so if you click the link below and use my code at checkout, it will save you 5% off your order. When the bundle arrived, it was packaged in 3 individual boxes, one for each of the items. You will have to build the pedals and desk clamp, as they are mainly flat packed, but are nice and simple with instructions and tools included. Moving on to the Cammus C5 itself, easily the key feature compared to other racing wheels is the direct drive motors are built into the wheelbase, opposed to a wheel that you connect to a separate direct drive base. Even with that, the wheel is still lightweight, coming in at just under 3.5 kilograms and also boasting 5 Newton meters of torque. With the motors built in, this will also be a big factor into the overall price, keeping it a bit cheaper compared to other brands. The D-shaped wheel is 28 centimeters in diameter with a frosted metal finish and hand-stitched leather, which still felt comfortable after hours of constant driving. On the front is a carbon fiber faceplate accompanied by 20 changeable buttons. It also has a LED rev indicator and display screen at the top showing the in-game speed, as well as 3 switches at the bottom. Although the front of the Cammus C5 looks pretty cluttered, having those extra buttons might come in handy for some of you depending on what kind of game you play. Moving to the back, you get a better look at the paddle shifters. They are very small compared to what you'd normally expect on a racing wheel, so could potentially be an issue. Connection ports are also on the back for the power cable, USB, fan and 2 USB-C outputs for the pedals and clutch, as well as the power and reset buttons. The desk clamp is included with 2 of the bundles, and although there isn't really much to it, for $30 you'd still need to mount the Cammus C5 to your desk, wheel stand or racing rig, and it gives you 3 different height adjustments as well as the little screw base at the bottom. The small fan also comes with the desk clamp, which is screwed into the underside of the plate and connects directly into the wheel to keep it from potentially overheating. If you go for the complete bundle, you'll also get the Cammus CP5 pedals. These will also need to be built and are very easy to put together by slotting the brake and accelerator pedals into the base and screwing the foot plates onto each. Keeping the price in mind, the pedals do feel very cheap. They do have little grips on the underside if you're on carpet. Even if you're on a wood floor or something, they'll probably help. But again, don't expect perfect pedals included with the bundle. As expected, software is available to download from the website, giving you many options to tweak the C5 to your liking, including the ability to change the units displayed on the screen from kilometers an hour to miles an hour, as well as the different colors of the rev indicator. You can also launch the installed games from the software and update the firmware for the wheel and pedals when needed. Finally, getting into some gameplay using the C5, I was very impressed, as this is the first proper time I've got to use my own direct drive wheel outside of only using them at certain gaming events. As mentioned at the start, I mainly play arcade racing games, so I wanted to try this on a couple of sim racing games. Assetto Corsa Competizione was the first one I tried, and playing this game with a wheel like this had me hooked for a good few few hours just running practice laps. EA Sports WRC was another game I put a few hours into, especially where I've never played any rally game with a wheel in general. The force feedback felt great when driving, and having those extra buttons on the front will come in handy for those of you that like to have various bindings. I'm related to the wheel, but I wish I had an external handbrake to improve the experience, as using a button on a wheel can be a bit annoying. Forza Horizon 5 is one of the only arcade racing games compatible with the Cammus C5, and whilst it does work, it's not the best experience. Before you boot the game, you need to tick the FH5 helper, which enables the wheel to function correctly in the game. However, for whatever reason, the frames absolutely tanked from my average of 120 to around 45 when using the wheel with the helper enabled. Booting it without the helper fixes the frame issue if you don't mind the C5 not working properly, as well as no force feedback or vibrations at all. It was a shame that Forza Horizon 5 didn't work as intended, and hopefully it's something they can look into more in the future and get it to function properly. In conclusion, the Cammus C5 is an excellent entry-level direct drive racing wheel, especially with it being cheap to get you started. It's very compact compared to others, making it easy to store away when not in use, and if you intend to use it clamped to your desk, it felt very sturdy with little to no movement. The overall feel when driving was very smooth, but I'd only recommend this for sim racing games. If you're after something to use on both sim and arcade, or it being compatible on console as well, it's worth looking at other options. Thanks for watching, and feel free to pop any questions down below in the comments, and of course check out the link in the description and the pinned comment if you want to see the Cammus C5 for yourself.